Well, you know what I don't like about diets? I burn out. Every time. I start strong, then I end up getting tired of it. We all hate the word diet, right? So let's ditch that word and think of it as healthy kitchen habits. Well, earlier, Dr. Coley stopped by to help us balance our nutrition, dump the fads, and get the most out of our meals. Check it out.
All right, Dr. Coley, I had to have you back here on the show for this one because this one's been bothering me a lot. My husband and I have tried things like keto, intermittent fasting, even Whole30. There are so many different diets and kind of fads out there, and some are more fads. It feels like some are, more legitimate, but I can never tell which one is right for us.
Yes.
How do people tell what is right for them when it comes to diets?
I would say don't get caught up in the fad. That's the biggest piece of it. There's only 2 diets that have outcomes data, meaning they've been shown to reduce heart attacks and strokes. One is the DASH diet, which is a sodium-limited diet for people with high blood pressure, and the other is a Mediterranean diet, which is rich in avocados and salmon and whole grains, and that reduces heart attacks and strokes. Now, intermittent fasting has some very promising data as well.
Okay.
But everything else I put in another box because those diets have not been shown to reduce heart attacks and strokes. In fact, diets like the keto diet have actually been shown in the short term to have weight loss, but in the long term, they increase your cholesterol, your triglycerides, your insulin resistance, so they can have some really adverse effects.
Wow.
So my advice, Danny, would be ask yourself what your goal is for the diet. Is it weight loss? Is it, disease prevention? Is it disease treatment? And then depending on that goal, something that's sustainable.
Yes.
Because one thing we know for sure is that behavioral change doesn't sustain if it's too dramatic.
Right, that's so true. There have been so many times where we've done something and then it's like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, that's huge. Okay, perfect. So we always hear too that we need to be cognizant of both diet and exercise. I mean, is one more important than the other?
Unfortunately, they're both very important. And again, it sort of goes back to what your goals are. If your goal is just to eat a well-balanced diet, then obviously the diet is the big piece of it. But for weight loss, for disease management, as we get older, the exercise is really, really important.
Yeah.
So I would say almost think of them as 2 separate things.
Sure.
One doesn't replace the other. And I sometimes do this. I cheat a little bit and I say, oh, if I eat an extra cookie, it's okay if I exercise a little bit more. And I think that's okay because I think you're using one to help the other.
Sure.
But you don't want one to be the replacement for the other ever.
Okay, so balance is important, but not complete replacement. That makes total sense. Okay, so let's talk about how we should learn more about the foods that are best for us. We hear about nutritionists, we hear about dietitians. First, what's the difference between the two, and is there somebody that we should be maybe going to over the other?
Yeah, so I think the first most important thing that I like to do is to get an assay, a snapshot of what am I doing now.
Okay.
So if you download like a food app or something that helps you track, sometimes it'll be amazing the patterns that emerge.
Yeah.
You're eating too much sodium or you're eating too much sugar, fat or saturated fat, and you'll know what types of things that you like to eat because we tend to do the same things again and again, are contributing to unhealthy dietary patterns. Once you have that assessment, then you set your goals, what exactly you're trying to do, and then you leverage the right resources. And the best resources are really your physician and a registered dietitian or nutritionist, which is the same thing.
Okay.
In fact, a study just came out from the American College of Cardiology meeting this weekend that put a dietitian in the grocery store while we were shopping. Can you imagine?
I love that idea.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
And guess what? We sustained dietary change because we knew what to buy.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we go to the store, we just pick up what we think is healthy without always realizing.
Right, and I'm sure it kind of helps that somebody's watching you over your shoulder. Yeah.
That
Awesome.
always helps, and maybe you can hold each other accountable.
Right.
So your spouse or your kids or what have you can hold you accountable for your dietary changes.
I love that. Got to talk to the hubby about that one. All right, Dr. Coley, thank you.
All right, and did you know that our diets change as we age? Well, tune in next week as we delve into the topic of age-related eating habits.